You didn't choose your first thought this morning. It arrived uninvited, unannounced, and before you even had a chance to question it, you were already inside it, already believing it, already building a feeling around it. And the thought after that one, you didn't choose either, or the one after that. The entire chain, the worry, the self-criticism, the quiet dread that followed you into the day, none of it was selected by you. It simply happened, and yet somewhere along the way you decided it was you. That's the paradox that most people never see clearly enough to question. Not that we think, but that we believe our thinking is who we are. The mind was not designed for truth. That's a difficult thing to sit with, but it's important. The mind evolved for one purpose: to keep the body alive, to scan for threats, to rehearse worst-case scenarios, to remember pain so it wouldn't be repeated. For hundreds of thousands of years, that was enough. Survival didn't require accuracy. It required speed. The brain that assumed danger, even when there was none, survived longer than the one that paused to consider both sides. So the mind you inherited is not a truth-seeking instrument. It is a threat detection machine, running in a world that no longer matches the one it was built for. And when you trust every output of that machine as if it were gospel, you don't get clarity. You get chaos dressed up as self-awareness. Here's what that actually looks like in daily life. You notice a feeling of unease, and immediately the mind builds a story around it. A memory surfaces, and the mind finds a way to make it mean something about your worth. A relationship grows tense, and instead of sitting with the discomfort, the mind begins rehearsing. Arguments, scenarios, conclusions, all of them running on loop, feeding on each other, generating more noise. And the remarkable thing is, you call this thinking. You believe you are working through something, but what you are actually doing is talking to yourself so loudly, so relentlessly, that you can no longer hear anything real beneath the noise. There is a kind of suffering that has nothing to do with your circumstances. It lives entirely inside the gap between what you experience and what the mind insists it means. And the harder you think, the wider that gap becomes. This is where the deeper wound lives, and most people never reach this layer. The unexamined conflicts inside you don't disappear simply because you haven't looked at them. They find other exits. The pattern that disturbs you in others, the situations that seem to follow you without explanation, the same emotional weight that resurfaces in different clothes. These are not coincidences. They are the inner life, acting itself out through the outer world, because it has no other language available, and the instinct, when you begin to notice this, is to think your way out of it, to analyze the pattern, to trace it back to its origin, to understand it into silence. But understanding a fire does not extinguish it. More thinking applied to a thought-generated wound only deepens the confusion. You cannot solve the problem using the same mechanism that created it. So what then? There is a shift, quiet, almost unspectacular, that changes everything. Imagine your thoughts as a child, not a harmful child, not a broken one, just an energetic, curious, relentless child who wants your attention every few seconds. Look at this. Think about that. What if this happens? Remember when. The child is not dangerous. The child is not lying, but the child does not always know what is true, and the child is not the authority on how your life should be lived. You wouldn't stop everything every time this child speaks. You'd hear it, you'd acknowledge it. And then, gently, without drama, you'd return to what you were doing. That is what it looks like to detach from your thoughts without suppressing them. You are not trying to silence the mind. You are no longer mistaking its noise for reality. The space between a thought and your response to it, that space is not emptiness. That space is you. The awareness that can observe a thought without becoming it. That is not a technique you practice. It is what you actually are, beneath the performance of worrying and planning and narrating. When that space widens, something softens. Not because your problems have disappeared, but because you are no longer inside the story about them every waking moment. Self-awareness, properly understood, is not about knowing every dark corner of your psychology. It is about recognizing that you are the one doing the watching, not the thing being watched. The thought is the weather. You are the sky. And the sky is never damaged by what passes through it. This is a slow practice. Some days the noise wins. Some days you forget completely, and the spiral pulls you under before you realize what happened. That's not failure. That's being human. But the moment you remember, even briefly, that you can observe the storm without being the storm, something in you exhales. If something in this spoke to something you've been quietly carrying, consider staying close to this space. There's more to explore here, and it's worth exploring together. Leave a thought in the comments, whatever this brought up for you. I'd genuinely like to hear it.